All right, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Sports Hounds about to go live right now.
Let's go! This ain't the Fox Light. Boss is thinking he stinks.
Oh shit!
It's time.
All right, it's Monday night. Welcome to the Sports Hounds. We're live exclusively on a2dradio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Brinkman, Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby's producing. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss a damn thing here on A2D Radio. We're having NHL preview. We're having baseball talk. We're having NFL draft talk. The draft is this week. I'm somewhere in Colorado. I don't even know where I am. I don't even know what time zone I'm in. I'm at a truck stop in Colorado on my way to Las Vegas for the NFL draft. We're going to be live at Westgate all weekend long. John Coyle, he's milling around here in the back of my roommate here at the truck stop in Colorado. So we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. Stream us if you miss. Podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. We're taking over. Sixers playoff run, NFL draft, NFL playoffs. We're getting in the springtime here. All these major sports are kind of coming together, and A2D Radio has got you covered. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by our doc. Make them yours too. Dr. Paul Vidal, 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. Like I said, he's our doc here at A2D Radio. Make them yours too. There's our newest sponsor right there, Aria Public Health and Public Adjusting. Excuse me. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. Grab a great ally, Aria Public Adjusting, 813-564-3364. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. It's a battle you might not be able to win, but Aria Public Adjusting has got you covered. That brings us to our poll question tonight. We're going to talk hockey tonight. We've been neglecting hockey. We're barreling towards the playoffs. Playoffs kind of set, but our poll question of the night, the Tampa Bay Lightning will three-peat as Stanley Cup champions. Obviously, they've won the last 2. They're kind of starting to heat up. Stamkos had a pretty good week. I don't think it's this year. Look, it's hard to repeat, Brad, let alone three-peat. If they do three-peat, like, that's an unbelievable accomplishment. Maybe something we haven't seen since, the Detroit, Pittsburgh did their thing. Detroit did their thing. But
they only did 2 in a row. They didn't win 3 in a row.
Didn't 2 out of 3 though. That's pretty good. But we're talking about 3 in a row. Who's the last team to win 3 in a row?
I think Montreal.
Detroit, Montreal.
Maybe, no.
'70s. Edmonton, yeah, because the Flyers, they won a lot, and the Flyers took them to the brink in '87 with Hextall and that young crew.
And you know what? That Edmonton team may have been the greatest team of all time.
And the Broad Street Bullies almost took them out, but we digress.
They gave them a heck of a battle.
So I'm going to disagree the poll. I'm just going to play the odds here because I think the East is very good. There's a lot of very good, tough, gritty hockey teams in this East. But I can't ignore the fact that Tampa Bay is heating up, and Vasilevsky is probably the best goalie in the game. So, but sheer averages and just numbers, a three-peat is damn near impossible. I mean, you look at your team like your Rangers, they're very good. Carolina's very good. Pittsburgh's always laying in the wings. Boston's always laying in the wings.
Florida. Don't forget Florida.
They got my heart because they got Giroux, and I want to see Giroux do well. So I'm disagreeing. I'm picking Florida. I'm on the Claude Giroux bandwagon. I want to see him get a cup and get the credit around the NHL that he never got here in Philadelphia for whatever reason. But, I mean, you got a couple teams out west too, Brad. I mean, Colorado's loaded. I would assume that they're going to get –
Colorado is the overwhelming favorite right now.
So even though they don't have Landeskog, though, I mean, you lose a guy like Landeskog. I mean, he might come back, he might not. Maybe they can get away with playing that wild card series without him.
I think that he's going to be able to come back at some point in the playoffs if they don't get eliminated early.
And there's TH from the 203 checking us out on YouTube. TH, definitely turn those notifications on. Don't miss anything. We're the biggest week ever, maybe here on A2D Radio. Get your draft coverage, get your Sixers coverage, get your NHL playoff coverage. They'll be going at it tomorrow on the Hockey Happy Hour, talking more NHL playoffs. So
don't forget Calgary, and don't forget the Minnesota Wild. They are two outstanding.
I like the Wild because the Wild traded for the goalie whose name escapes me right now at the trade deadline, which was a move that I really liked. But I'm looking at it. We were talking about John Coyle here on
Fleury.
Fleury, yes. He did great.
Marc-Andre Fleury, the ex-Penguin.
The ex-Penguin. So he's been there. He's done that. That's a solid netminder for them. But Brad,
they toughened up, and they really toughened up.
So like I'm searching for a team out west that can take out Colorado. Because I'm sold on Florida in the East.
Calgary and Minnesota can definitely do that.
So how do you feel about Tampa? What's your answers to the poll question, Brad?
I don't like Tampa this year. They lost their entire third line. I don't think that they're gritty enough anymore. I think that was what was holding them back before until they finally won was the grit factor. They lost all their grit in the third line. And they've been able to replace it a little bit, but they're still lacking. And I just don't think that Tampa Bay has it in them for another cup run. I think they're going to be out pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Okay. I could see them out in the first round.
Whew.
I mean, I know that they've been able to handle a lot of teams in the playoffs, but this year against some of the, and I'm basing it a lot on when I've seen them against the Rangers, because that's who I watch all the Ranger games, and the Rangers beat the crap out of Tampa Bay this year. All three times they played them. I mean, the games weren't even close. So except for the one in Tampa when they beat them 2-1, when they scored with 16 seconds to go. But the Rangers smoked them twice in New York. And Tampa Bay, I just don't think Tampa Bay is all that great anymore. They're old. They're not a young team anymore by any stretch of the imagination. I think both Florida and Toronto are ready to overtake them in the playoffs.
But like Toronto, because I see them. It looks like a foregone conclusion. I'm looking at the standings here that it's going to be Toronto and Tampa, the 2 and 3 seed in the Atlantic Division, are going to face off in the first round.
Well, I think Toronto is going to beat them this time.
Because you got 103 and 100 with Boston, and so the playoffs are set in the East. The teams, at least.
The teams are set. The matchups could possibly change, but at this point, I think that Toronto can beat Boston and can beat Tampa Bay.
Why this year for Toronto? Look, we look at these teams like Toronto, Edmonton's another one out west that scores all these goals.
They're a lot better than Edmonton. Toronto has a defense now, and at this point, I know Campbell hasn't been playing as well as he did in the first half of the season, but Campbell is a pretty good goalie. And I think the only thing really that held Toronto back was just experience and some toughness. They now have toughness. They have experience. They went out at the beginning of the season, and who was it they picked up from Edmonton? They got some guy, Zach Hyman, from Edmonton got Zach Hyman from Toronto, but they've picked up some players. I think Toronto is going to be awfully tough for Tampa Bay or Boston, whichever one comes in. Boston is going to be out in the first round, regardless of who they play. I can tell you that right now. Boston.
I kind of agree, but it's like the Bruins, and they have Marchand, and he always seems to just be a thorn in everybody's side.
One line teams don't win in the playoffs.
But like I'm looking at Toronto and Tampa, and neither of them can win on the road. Both have dominating records in their home building, and relatively not as good. The difference is glaring with their home road splits. And I
Well,
look at
most teams are in hockey are a lot better at home because of the obvious advantages that they have with the face-off advantage and being able to get the last change. So that's a big advantage. So you'd expect that. Normal teams there is a stark advantage, but usually good teams are good teams also are good on the road as well. I mean, my Rangers, for example, you take a look at them, they've been almost as good on the road as they have been at home. So I mean, it does make it does help when you're a good road team for sure.
So, and then I look at really the only team that's like not playing well going into these Eastern Conference playoffs is
the Penguins.
The Penguins.
Right.
Carolina, they're 7-3 in the last team. The Rangers 7-2-1. And you got Pittsburgh, they're kind of backing in here, 4-5. But then you look at the three teams in the Atlantic, 9-1, 7-2, 6-3, right down Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, respectively, and Washington, even in that last wild card spot. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if one of these teams, Washington, especially
Washington could conceivably come in third place if they really want to. I mean, my question really is, what is the deal in Carolina with the two goalies? What is going on with Frederik Andersen? And I know their backup Ranta got injured pretty seriously the other night. So right now, they're going to be playing, for the most part, they're going to be playing each other. The Panthers, I'm sorry, the Hurricanes goaltending situation is unsettled right now. I don't know if who's going to be playing goal in the playoffs, and that's going to be a problem. If Frederik Andersen is healthy enough to play goalie in the playoffs, then my personal pick in the East right now is Carolina.
You've been talking them up for months.
Yeah, now. Carolina fits all the Brad Reier check marks. They're tough. Okay, not fighting tough. It's not like that. They're tough. They play with an edge. They're hard to play against. They give the opponents no space defensively. They can score, and they will hit you and they will frustrate you. And that's the kind of team that usually is very good at advancing in the playoffs. And they've been good for years, and they've been getting closer and closer and closer. I think this is their year to get to the finals. I think that Florida is going to get exposed because they're not very good defensively. And honestly, I don't trust Bobrovsky in net. What has he ever done in the playoffs to show you that he's a money player right now?
Well, I look. It's a fan pick. It's a fandom pick because I love Giroux for Florida.
No. Listen, Florida is an awesome offensive team, and at home they're almost unstoppable, and they're going to have home ice advantage. Throughout the playoffs in the first round in the Eastern Conference, they're going to have the playoff advantage. If they play Boston or Tampa, they're going to run them right out of the rink. It'll be a 5-game series either way. They're going to destroy those two teams. The only team right now that could skate with them in that division is Toronto. That's why I'm saying I think Toronto matches up very well against Boston, and they match up very well against Tampa Bay. I just don't think Tampa Bay's got enough in the tank anymore to be making another playoff run. I think it's time for them to take a hike early in the playoffs this year. Now, the next division, the Carolina division, you've got the Rangers, Penguins, and Capitals. I do think that right now the collision course is set for the Rangers to end up playing the Canes. And that's why I'm so interested to know who's playing goal in the playoffs. Because I do think if the Rangers get to play Carolina and they have to play their third string goalie in the playoffs, I think that could be a major issue. for Carolina. But I'm assuming Fred Anderson is going to be playing in the playoffs. As long as he plays, that team right now, as far as I'm concerned, is the team to beat. And actually, right now, as far as the wild card goes, Boston would be playing Carolina, and Washington would be playing Florida. And Florida would go through Washington like a knife through butter.
All right, let's get this some comments. Let's someone at TH from the 203. The Islanders of the 80s won a couple cups as well. They were very good.
They won 4 in a row back in the 80s.
Yeah, so that's the kind of territory that we're talking about with Tampa Bay here, potentially. Now, you don't believe in them?
Potentially, yes. I mean, the Islanders back then were a dominant team. They were a great team, and they ended up losing to a great team in Edmonton who took over hockey for a long time after that. The fellow by the name of Gretzky beat them, with a little help from somebody named Messier and Yari Curry and Grant Fuhr and Paul Coffey, and that team. The list could go on and on and on. They like half the team was Hall of Famers. So, in any event, yeah, the Islanders back then were a dominant team, but that's what Tampa Bay would be would have to go into. Thing is, they're not a perfect team. The Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers, they were, and even the Montreal Canadiens before them, they were perfect teams. They were built perfectly. They had great money goaltending. They could score almost at will, and they had the best defensemen in the league. And they also had outstanding toughness. They had a lot of guys who could protect the star players, so they could go out and skate and not have to worry about getting beat up.
All right, let's get to some comments here. The comments are flying. People want to talk hockey. People want to talk draft. People want to talk baseball. Everything's on the table tonight here on the Sports Hounds. Our comments are brought to you by BetUSA, a leading online sportsbook who has been in the market for over 25 years. You can get bet anywhere in the USA. So if you got DraftKings and you got FanDuel and you're in a state like Colorado right now like me and you can't bet, use that 125% sign-up bonus from A2D. You sign up for BetUSA, $50 minimum deposit, and you're able to fire at will from anywhere in the country. You can also become an A2D member for $9.99 a month. We have tons of giveaways and gambling picks from Willie Vegas and the Money Pot Podcast. So a little twofer there. You get the 125% sign-up bonus. Then, you pay the extra $9.99 a month. Get our picks. We know what we're talking about. We live for this stuff. So come cash in, BetUSA, cash in with Willie Vegas, and cash in with the Money Pot Podcast. I got a few draft props. I'm going to, even though I'm not a professional, and you shouldn't listen to me, you take everything I say with a grain of salt, with everything that I say here on A2D Radio, because I really don't know what I'm talking about. I know I talk loud and I scream sometimes, but I have no idea. So I got a few draft props. I'm sure Willie Vegas will have draft props. Money Pot Podcast, Sunday morning, 10 a.m., right before the ramp booth. That's when you can get those picks. So, truck stop. Yeah, I'm at a truck stop. No, I'm in a hotel, but the hotel is at TH from the 203. Yeah, I'm in a hotel. We look the part, but, we're going to Vegas. Vegas, baby. We're about 12 hours outside. We're going to finish up the trip tomorrow, and then it's going to be party time for the draft. It's going to be party time on A2D. It's going to be party time at Westgate. We have all kinds of surprises Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So keep it locked in here. Tom Arnone's in the house. Bob Brinkman, let's go Sixers. I'm blacked out of the Sixers tonight. I don't have NBA TV here. So you're going to have to rely on the boys, the Flight Zone, Jimmy and Evan, Tom Arnone. Be on later tonight with some post-game stuff. Hopefully the Sixers and Joel Embiid's thumb can...
I would think they would wrap things up tonight.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, everyone's worried about Embiid's thumb.
How long has it been hurt?
It just got hurt in Game 3.
Do we really know that?
No.
Okay. Just saying.
No, good point. Good point. It could have been hurt all season. We don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
You don't really know it. You don't really know
I mean,
how bad it is and how much it hurts.
It looked fine when he was burying that game winner in Game 3 against the Raptors and really putting the series, relatively speaking, away and breaking all the hearts of the Toronto Raptors fan, which, by the way, that's a crumb fan base. Toronto is a crumb fan base. Like they cheer when people get hurt. They cheer at teams' misfortune. You can say what you want about Philly. Like, remember Victor Cruz tore his knee up, he got cheered off the field. That would never happen in Toronto. Remember Kevin Durant?
I do remember you guys did treat Victor Cruz with some respect. I do remember that.
And remember when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles in Toronto, and they all cheered when he cheered that he got hurt, not cheered in the good way. So
no, I know that. I know that. I remember
fan base.
that.
And he got Drake is canoodling with Joe after he hits the shot. Like if I'm Drake and I'm a diehard Toronto fan and he hits that shot, I'm on the floor. My heart's ripped out. I'm not going over and dapping up Joel Embiid.
I'm giving him the finger and walking away.
Yeah, but that's just not the way they do things up there in Canada. So they don't deserve to go any further. Sixers are favored by 8, so Vegas would indicate that
Sixers are gonna
potentially blow out City tonight. But
yeah, it's gonna be look. They'll hang around. They'll hang around they may hang around for a half, maybe halfway through the third quarter. But the Sixers are just better than they are.
Rosca, he's on the Kings. Kings have a chance to clinch and be in the playoffs for the first time, and I feel like kind of a while here. Yeah, they're sitting third in the Pacific behind Calgary and Edmonton. You have St. Louis, and then the Western Central Division is just loaded. I don't know what the Kings can do once they're in the playoffs, but I mean,
the Kings are out in the first round.
I don't think they match up very well with Edmonton's got to get it done at some point. With McDavid,
if Edmonton gets to play the Kings in the playoffs, that's a good matchup for them. They should be able to beat the Kings. The Kings are not that. If the Kings were in the East, they wouldn't even be having any discussions about the playoffs. Let's be honest, okay? They're nowhere. They're not in the same class as any of the 8 playoff teams in the East.
Eric Beck chiming in, hammer the Raptors +8. Glenn doesn't know how to close a series. Yeah, we were watching the TNT pregame show, me and Johnny here in the room, and his statistics, his record in closeout games is just abysmal. But the Sixers are better. I'm not laying 8 either. I made that mistake in Game 4. I thought the Sixers would come out and take care of business, get the sweep, and go into the next round.
But that was it's really hard to sweep a team. You know that, especially when they're at home. I mean, their fans are there, and that game's very emotional. They don't want the other team celebrating on their home court, and they had their last hurrah, and it's over now. They're back in Philly where they got humiliated twice. So I don't see how it's going to be any different this time.
Yeah, no Van Vliet. Scotty Barnes is still out, so
it's not.
He's hurt, but Toronto is much more injured than the Sixers.
It's not happening for them.
Mike Petrillo, Tampa Bay wouldn't sniff the 80 Isles. Mike Petrillo, check us out on YouTube. Hopefully, Mike turns on those notifications. Hits that subscribe.
I agree with you 100%.
He's a big Isles fan there, Mike.
Yeah, well, I can't stand the Islanders, and I can't stand Islander fans at all. But I do agree that Islander team was just so good. But remember, they also play in different eras too. The stuff the Islanders used to pull back then, they wouldn't be allowed to pull now. So there is a difference in the game now, and you have to kind of account for that. But as far as the Islanders were concerned, the Islanders were not only the best team in the league, they're the toughest team in the league. They had a goalie who'd chop your head off with a stick if you stood anywhere near the crease. Who was also dynamite in the playoffs. I mean, that was a perfect team for back then. They could score. They were mean. There was nothing that team couldn't do. The only thing that they couldn't do was beat Edmonton, and that basically was because they got old. Father Time is undefeated.
Always undefeated. Our man from Detroit, Don 19. He likes the Pelicans in 6 over the Suns. I know Devin Booker's out, but I don't see the Pelicans taking out the Suns. That would be an epic.
That would be quite the upset.
Brett, did the Knicks go to the finals one year as an 8 seed?
Yes, but that was the strike year.
Okay.
Remember they had half the season. Half the season was the They lost
That's
half the
right.
season because they were on strike,
What was
or
that,
either on
2000?
strike or locked out. I can't remember.
But yeah, Pelicans in 6. I mean, that would be, and like I kind of like what the Pelicans are doing down there. If they can ever get Zion Williamson on the court, because I love their CJ McCollum trade, and Brandon Ingram's a stud. Steven Adams is good underneath, so I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. They're not.
I don't know. I mean, that's asking an awful lot.
Don 19 checking in from the Lions fan. Jordan Davis and Trent McDuffie to the Eagles. I agree with one of those picks, not so much the other one. I'll pass on the Pac-12, undersized zone corner from the Pac-12. I could do without that, but I mean, Jordan Davis is a beast. Eric Mendez, let's go Mets. Mets fans are out. That's actually my play of the day in baseball. The Mets. I think McGill's on the Scherzer's on the mound today, so obviously a plus pitching matchup, and I think I don't even remember they're playing. But I'll bet on Scherzer.
Oh yeah, I would bet on Scherzer.
Yeah, I'll take Scherzer. Big time. D-Call, Cruz. Yeah, giving Victor Cruz some love. Bob bringing Fred VanVleet out tonight. That will hurt them. And Siakam will not score like last game. Yeah, Siakam played out of his mind last game. He was 12 of 19 from the floor. He was super efficient. Like, there's no room for error for Siakam. They need that again for them to have a chance. Plus, this game's in Philly. The Wells Fargo Center is going to be rocking. I'll try and update you throughout with the box score.
I don't see them. There is no way I could see them winning that game tonight. No way. By the way, the Cardinals, the Mets are playing the Cardinals.
That's right.
So it's not going to be that easy for the Mets. Who's pitching for them? Jordan Hicks?
No, he just pitched. Let me see what I got here. No, Mikolos. It's Scherzer and Mikolos.
Oh yeah, they're gonna win. Mikolos is not good anymore.
I can't stand the Mets. I debate every day who I hate more, the Mets or the Cowboys, but the Mets are playing good ball right now. I can't really.
They're hot. They started the season hot, so we'll see.
You know, we've read this book before with the Mets, where they're out for a big lead, and then come the end of September, they're singing the blues.
Well, usually it's more like July, Rob. They don't wait till September to choke. It's usually like right around July they start to the starters can't hold off the other team, and then the bullpen comes in and blows it. I don't see the Mets bullpen being all that in a bag of chips this year, so we'll see. They can hit a little bit more than they've been able to.
Lindor seems to be doing some things with his $34 million AAV. That Bryce Harper, every time a new contract gets signed, that Bryce Harper $25 million AAV looks better and better. Even though Bryce
Harper also is making a lot of money off the field in Philadelphia.
Correct.
So I don't think Bryce Harper really is all that worried about what he makes on the field. I think he probably makes almost as much off the field as he makes on the field now.
He'll start making more off the field. He gets out of this slump that he's just completely mired in to start the season. I mean, he's just. I know it's the season.
Well, it's only April. I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
He's lost right now at the plate. He's I watched a little bit of the game last night after we got finished up at Wrigley. And he's just putting together not good at bats. Yeah, Pove. Check out
Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was lost, and then on Friday night, all of a sudden, he bangs 2 home runs against the Guardians.
That's how it works with these guys, and it's fixed.
Yeah, they snap out of it right away, and then Harper will bat 400 for like a month. That's just how it is, you know. Nobody gets to have 6 perfect months. Nobody hits for 6 months. Everybody has at least 1 or 2 slumps during the season.
Rob Povia, he likes the hockey talk. You know, we kind of touched on the Eastern Conference earlier. We'll talk about the Western Conference a little bit. Brad, I'm looking for like a team to latch onto because like
in the West,
that's not Colorado.
Okay, Minnesota.
You like Minnesota? And I said that at the trade.
I like what Minnesota did at the trade deadline. They got tough, and they picked up Fleury, who is absolutely a money goalie. He's won a couple of Stanley Cups. He's played a zillion playoff games. That team is very well balanced. And the only problem they had was that they weren't tough enough. And they definitely took care of that, especially when you bring in a guy like Nicholas Delorier, who in the Brad Ryer NHL boxing pool has him ranked number 2 in the league in boxing, in fighting. The problem is there is one guy who could kick his ass all over the place, and that's that crazy guy on Colorado, actually, McDermott, Curtis McDermott.
Does Colorado still have Reeves, or is he on Vegas?
No, Reeves is on the Rangers. Okay. Reeves is probably number 4 now. He's dropped a little bit because he lost a couple of fights this year. Delorier is actually, as he's gotten older, he's actually gotten better.
Can I actually look up the stats on that, on like who won the most fights in the NHL?
Yeah. You can there's if you go on hockeyfights.com, you can bring up a player and they'll show all, and you can just pump in a player and they'll show all his fights throughout the season. And then they have comments about who won and who lost. And if you look at stuff, based on the eye test, you usually can figure out who won most of their fights. And Delorier is really good. He's tough. I mean, he never loses. Yeah, the only guy I can think of right now that I think is a better fighter than him in the NHL is Curtis McDermott. And Rob Povia, if you want to give me your comment about that, I'd be anxious to hear who you think is the toughest guy.
Yeah, Rob Povia, he'll be on tomorrow with the Hockey Happy Hour with his crew there. They do a great job talking hockey. He disagrees with the poll, so he doesn't think Tampa's going to three-peat. He feels they would peter out at some point in the playoffs. They played a ton of hockey the last 2 seasons. Even with the break, give me Florida versus Calgary. G gets his cup. And Bobby Stevens, he's an insider member. He likes the Flames versus the Hurricanes. Hurricanes in 7. So,
that could happen.
Now, that's 2 commenters in a row that go with Calgary. Now,
Calgary
is from Calgary before, where they skate up and down and score a lot of goals, and then in the playoff comes when you really got to get tough and physical and play shift by shift hockey, that they don't match up and they peter out.
Calgary right now defensively is as good a team as any in the NHL right now. And their goaltender, I think, is Markstrom, and Markstrom's been tremendous this year. The Flames are, as I told you, there are 3 teams in the West. Obviously, Colorado is the favorite. If you want to bet the favorite, okay, that's fine. But if you're looking for a team that could beat them, either Minnesota or Calgary have a shot. I'm not saying that they can beat Calgary. That's asking a lot, because Calgary really is good. I mean, their forwards are historically good. I can't see them losing, but they're another team that seems to find a way to lose every year in the playoffs too, and nothing seems to change with them. So we'll see about that.
So basically what you're telling me, all these teams that have tuckered out after scoring a bunch of goals in the playoffs have addressed their needs. Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, just to name a few, have addressed their needs, have learned from their mistakes, and have.
Oh, I think when it comes to Calgary went out and brought in Tyler Toffoli, and that was an outstanding trade. I mean, he was just awesome for them this season. And that seemed, when Calgary was struggling in the middle of the season, when they made that move and brought him in, he was a tiger. And the Flames have been really, really tough to beat. And they'll give anybody they play a run for their money, because they're so good defensively and they can score. Johnny Gaudreau has had a great year. I believe he's second in the league in scoring, if I'm not mistaken. So there's something to be said about that. He this year became that superstar that everybody's been waiting for. The only one that has more points than him is McDavid, and McDavid, I think, has like 118 or 119 points or something like that. So, Gaudreau is over 100, which is very impressive. Hey, and as far as Minnesota, they've got Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, I think that's his name. They've got a lot of real good players on their team as well. Those three teams are going to be very tough to play. The problem is when Calgary has to play, if they have to play those teams, it's going to be tough to if they have to go through both of them.
Rob Povier, Mark Barowicki from Nashville.
Oh, Borowski?
Yeah, he's a good fighter, and McEwen is pretty nasty too. To answer your question to Pove.
On Philly? You mean the guy in Philly? Tom McEwen.
I'm not familiar with McEwen.
He's pretty tough, but I don't put it. Borowski got somebody just beat the hell out of him the other day. I can't put him up. I mean, he's tough. He won't back away from anybody. He's not afraid to fight anybody that wants to give him a fight. But he loses a lot too. So I wouldn't quite put him in the Laurier class or the McDermott class. The McDermott class is McDermott by himself. He's a monster right now. Nobody's going to beat him up right now. That's just my opinion. And he protects the players on Colorado, which makes them which made the thing with McKinnon when he got hurt because he insisted on getting into a fight a few weeks ago. That made it even stupider because if there needs to be a fight, you've got the best fighter in the league who everybody's afraid of, who can go out and can probably bury an entire bench if he had to. So that was really dumb that he went out and got into a fight and hurt his hand.
We're the Sports Hounds. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. We're live exclusively on A2D Radio, live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, and Twitch. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us in podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Huge monster week here on A2D Radio. We're Rant Booth out in Vegas. Sixers getting ready to tip off. We'll have post-game and live reactions following this very program, the Sports Hound. So keep it locked right here on A2D Radio all night. Keep it locked here on A2D Radio all week. NFL draft covered wall to wall, no matter who your team is. We do more than just Philly here. Eagles got 2 first-round picks. We're going to have that covered, but we're going to have all these teams that have multiple first-round picks. Brad, your Giants, the Jets, Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers. I feel like half the league has multiple first-round picks. It's gonna be a really crazy draft. A lot of these teams are really going to be able to.
I think you're going to see a lot of trades this year.
Now that's interesting as we shift into our. We'll touch on Ben Simmons right now. So the Nets are down 3-0. They're about to get swept. They're down 8 here. That was 8 here at halftime, 58-50. So. This guy is, first off, anyone who's still against the Ben Simmons trade for James Harden, because you had to give up 2 relatively marginal role players in Curry and Drummond, like you're out of your mind. This guy down 3-0, so his team needs him. They need him to mark Tatum.
They need him.
You can't go.
They need him. They need him in the worst way. And this just proves one thing. It isn't the Sixers. It isn't the Nets. It's him. He's a really pathetic human being to just totally run away from competition the way he does.
And like his parents, his dad, a very good basketball player, a competitor. His mom, I believe, played pro tennis, a competitor in her own right. And they get together and you think they're going to like pop out this like monster NBA player, and like he has all the tools to be that, but he just wants to sit at home, play video games, and buy NFTs and get paid, $25 million a year. It's a joke. You're down 3-0.
I'd be interested in seeing
anyone with eyes, anyone that knows basketball can see that he would make a huge difference in this series. Even if your back's hurt, like you can't go give me 20. You can't give me 20 minutes, kid. Like, come on. Durant picked up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes because he's got to cover Tatum. Now they're down 8. Durant's got, I don't know if he picked up any more, but he's got 2 fouls. Like, once Durant gets 2 fouls, you bring Ben Simmons off the bench. Go guard Tatum for 10 minutes. Let Durant get in a rhythm. Let him just take a breather on defense, and you can get Durant going and Kyrie going and kind of get this Brooklyn Nets train that everyone expects just to keep on, just to get going, flip a switch, and roll through the playoffs and win the East going.
Well,
But like,
I think he's a complete fraud. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I just don't think he wants to play.
and you wake up with a sore back and you can't go. Like, come on, man.
I'd like to see his MRIs. See what he actually
He's
did.
smart. He's smart. Like,
he's full of
like backs are weird. Like, you can have a clear MRI and a clear X-ray and everything, and like still have a sore back and be relatively crippled. I know people like that. So like, he's smart in that sense, but there's nothing wrong with his back.
There's nothing wrong with him, period.
And now everyone's kind of like Reggie Miller, Stephen A. Smith, all these guys that cover the league, our Hall of Famers, are kind of like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? So, I mean,
he tried to make. All I know is this guy tried to make Philly, the Sixers, the bad guys. Sixer fans, the bad guys. And yeah, it's easy. It's easy to throw. It's easy to throw trash at Philadelphia sports fans. It's easy to do that. They make it easy to do that. But you know what? In this particular case, they were absolutely right. And you know what? I think they actually kind of let Ben Simmons off easy.
Very easy. This team, because entire organization, Brad, this entire fan base,
the organization and the fan base let him off pretty easy. I think they were pretty. I think everybody was pretty reasonable. But now the crap that he's pulling with Brooklyn, now you can really just see what a complete jackass he is.
So I mean, Brooklyn and like, that's not how sports work. You can't just flip a switch and go. You can't jerk off the whole season and then flip a switch in the playoffs against the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, a really good basketball team in Boston, a basketball team that's way better than I ever gave them credit for, because they're really good. They're strong defensively. They have 2 stars. Tatum, borderline superstar, but he's really good, smart.
By the way, they're going to be a very dangerous team for your Sixers if they have to play them in the playoffs.
Look, I don't know what's going to happen with the Sixers past this round. We got to see what Joe and the thumb. I don't know. I'm not ready for anything.
Somehow, some way, I think he's going to figure it out and he'll be okay. And he's
and Don 19. Rob, look at Scotty Barnes. He's playing with an injured foot and still playing because he doesn't want to see his team lose. And Ben Simmons, he couldn't care less if his team wins or loses. And look, that's fine. If you just want to play basketball and go home and not live and die if your team loses, you don't care about your legacy in that sense, that's fine. That's fine. And you just play basketball because you're good at it and you make a lot of money. That's fine.
The fact that he's not playing in the game tonight, his little grievance with the Sixers. Did the Sixers ever pay him, or did they say "F you" to him?
I think they're trying not to. There's a grievance.
I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't pay him a dime, and I wouldn't if I were the Nets. I wouldn't pay him a dime either. He's a fraud.
So the last I heard about his money is he's filing a grievance through the union, which the union has to defend him, unfortunately.
Right, but he's a fraud.
And so the Sixers put the money in an escrow account, and we're like, all right, when you show up and start doing your job, we'll pay you, no problem. He never showed up, and they traded him, and now he's not playing. So,
and he's not showing up for the Nets either. And
how's he going to win his grievance if he didn't show up for the Nets?
Huh?
How's he going to win his grievance if he didn't show up for the Nets either?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I thought he would show up tonight just so he could win his grievance for the money, but not showing up just.
I think that part of it goes right over his head. And I think that his boys, Rich Paul, and the people around him are kind of like, all right, we told you to show up. We told you to do this. We told you to do that. We told you to go to practice, go to the workouts. He got himself kicked. Remember, he got kicked out of practice the one day, his first day back.
Mm-hmm.
He got kicked out of practice. There was clearly a cell phone in his pocket while he was trying to do drills with his teammates. So Doc Rivers told him, get the hell out of here. You're not doing anything to make this team better. You're not doing anything to make yourself better. Leave.
Yeah. Do you blame him though? I respect him for doing that.
Absolutely. So,
I mean, that
Brooklyn
team didn't need that.
and you know what baffles me is like casual fans look at the Brooklyn Nets roster and are like, they're going to get even down 3-0. They're still the third favorite to win the championship. Is that right, John? The East, the third favorite to win the East, excuse me. But I mean, I guess that's right. Yeah, Rich Paul's too busy dating Adele. I mean, Don, I think Rich Paul is like kind of like, I can't represent you anymore. You don't listen to me. What am I supposed to do with you? Bob Brinkman Harding going to blow it up. Don 19, maybe Deshaun Watson can send Ben Simmons a good massage therapist for his back. That's a good one. That's the comment of the night right there. Comment of the night by Don.
Oh, very good. Very good. Touche.
Don 19 gets the comment of the night. Comment of the
Yes.
night brought to you by Gleason's Bar, located 6700 Mill Creek Avenue in Levittown. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Use that promo code. Dine in, take out. You give you 10% off. It's up in my neck of the woods, Bentown. Good wings, good cheesesteaks, great specials. Really a great spot worth your time, especially when you get 10% off. No brainer. Don 19. So Sixers down 7 early.
I wouldn't make too much of that. They were down. What was it? 14-3 against the Raptors in game 2.
I mean, NBA games can turn like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
All right, so let's transition to the NFL. Our NFL talk tonight, our NFL draft talk, brought to you by All Campus, down on the Ocean City Boardwalk between 10th and 11th Street, bringing you the Ramp booth each and every Sunday and all week, live from Las Vegas, doing draft talk. We're gonna be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're gonna have all kinds of things going on, so make sure you don't miss a thing. We're gonna be on Wednesday, 9 to 11 Vegas time. So that's let me get this right. 12 to 2 Eastern time, and we're also going to be 3 to 5 West Coast time. So that's 6 to 8 Eastern time.
Okay, before we transition.
Go ahead.
Okay, and you don't get to pick Florida, and you don't get to pick Colorado to go to the NHL finals.
Okay.
Who do you like? And then I'll tell you who I like. Because that's too easy. It's too easy to pick those two teams.
It's a great exercise. I like it. Let me look here. All right, so let me go back to my standings here.
Yeah, you don't get to pick the 3 to 5 shots. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Who do you like? Because you could pick them and look like a genius, but if the heaven and the sky fall down and neither one of those teams get to the finals, who would be your choice?
All right, I'll go dark horse Western Conference Edmonton. I like to watch sports, and I do this, and I watch sports, and I really center my entire life around sports to watch greatness and watch stars. And there's no one better in the NHL than Connor McDavid. So I think that would be both great for Connor McDavid, the city of Edmonton, and the game of hockey if Edmonton was able to put together a run here. So I'll go Edmonton in the West. And what's the other guy's name? Drysdale? He's pretty damn good too. So when stars perform, it's good for the league. And Edmonton has a rich history. So Drysdale. Thank you. Sorry. But
that's okay. Drysdale is on the Anaheim Ducks. He's a defenseman.
So I want to see stars. I want to see greatness. So let's get Edmonton. Let's get Edmonton some love. Rich history, good tradition, good fans. Western Canada, they live and die with their hockey. So let's go there. The East.
East is
Carolina. I wanted to say Rangers, but I feel like you might say the Rangers, and I can't give New York I can't stomach myself to give your squad the Rangers any credit. But it is the Rangers. The Rangers are a great dark horse. They have great defense. They can score, and Shesterkin's a great goalie. So we'll go Rangers and Edmonton. as dark horses.
That
Tough
would be
to
a
say,
hell of
but
a series. Okay, I'm going to go on my. I am going to take Minnesota.
okay.
No, Calgary. I'm going to go with Calgary.
Calgary, okay. They can
I'm going
skate
to go with
score, and it looks
Calgary.
like their defense has improved.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Calgary, and I'm going to in the East. Yeah, you know what? I still think Carolina is. I think they're better than Florida, so I'm going to take Carolina against Calgary.
Bob Brickman, Harden, Harrison, Joe, and Maxey all get 20+ tonight. I mean, that's kind of what has to happen for this basketball team to have a chance. The Stars got to play because this is not a deep basketball team. Thibault will be back in the mix tonight because, they're back in Philadelphia. They're out of Toronto, and he doesn't have a shot. So that should help. That's probably the big line that you see is Maxey back in the lineup, giving you that extra starting caliber player and that extra depth piece. But anyway, let's move on to the NFL because this is a really interesting draft, both because some teams elected to use their draft capital to go get stars like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. Other teams have multiple first-round picks. Now, it's a copycat league, so the teams that traded for stars, they're trying to be like the Rams and Tampa Bay, who completed their rosters with high-profile trade and free agent signings. So your Giants, my Eagles, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Lions. I think I got them all. The Saints now have 2 first-round picks. So all these teams have 2 first-round picks. It's crazy. So we're going to go through some of the rumors. It looks like, well, first off, Brad, your first-round pick last year in New York was Kadarius Toney, who didn't look half bad last year. Now I'm getting alerts left and right off Twitter that Kadarius Toney is being shopped by.
He is being shopped because he had one great game against the Cowboys, but then he was injured and he got injured 4 separate times, and then they finally put him on injured reserve, and then he didn't come to the optional workouts in April to mini camp, and the Giants are pissed off at him. So now they're trying to trade him. What I think is going to happen in that particular instance is that the Giants are going to see that they're not going to be able to get anything for him. Nobody is going to spend a first-round pick on him to get him. So the Giants might as well give him another chance and hope that this year, under a different coach, that he responds and he's in shape and everything else. Okay, but the time to trade him is not now. Okay, they're what are they going to get for him? A 4th? When he was the number 19 pick in the draft last year, well, what are you going to get for him? You're not going to get anything for him unless it's a blockbuster trade where he's thrown in somewhere. I mean, what can you possibly get for him? Nothing. So I think the Giants are exploring, but I think they're going to come to their senses and give him another year, and hopefully the guy will come in and be healthy and play. I mean, the guy could be the next Deebo Samuel. I mean, he can run out of the backfield. He can catch passes. I mean, and he's got blinding speed. But he's got to make sure that he's completely healthy and in shape and ready to play this year.
Now, is this a
dabble? And not coming to training camp is not a good sign.
Is this maybe, especially when you're a young player, and there's a new coach, you got to kind of get there, especially when you're young. You got to plant your flag regardless of who the coach is. But now you got a new regime in there coming from Buffalo, and they've won a lot of football games the past couple years.
And they've also been able to take receivers and make them better.
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel Davis, he has 3 touchdowns in one game in the playoffs.
Yeah, and look, Stephon Diggs was good. We know Stephon Diggs was good when he was with Minnesota. But when he came to Buffalo, he took it to a completely different level. Let's be honest. He was not as good in Minnesota as he is in Buffalo. There's no question about that. And you've got guys now who are coaching this team who have the ability to help you get to that level. get your ass in there and make football your priority and get to that level. Nobody wants to see the Giants be horrible again. But Gettleman obviously didn't know what he was doing when he drafted this guy. I mean, he stuck the Giants with a guy who right now is acting like a clown. So hopefully that doesn't continue. Otherwise, just another wasted pick.
And this is I mean, we got a quarterback in Philadelphia who I think I know what he is, which isn't much, but I could be wrong. And he doesn't have the receivers, but you got to make a decision right after this draft about Daniel Jones's 5th-year option. And if you're trading Tooney and you're trading, or you have Galladay, who was utterly useless last year, signed his contract and didn't even catch a touchdown, no call, no show. And then Evan Ingram's gone. I know you hate Evan Ingram, but he was a pass catcher. Saquon Barkley.
Now he was more like a pass. He was more like a pass dropper, but that's okay.
And you've Saquon Barkley, who
Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to come back and he's going to have a big year. I don't think he was ever fully healthy last year.
I mean, they need him because I don't see the point in trading a guy like Saquon Barkley for pennies on the dollar. That's stupid.
Barkley at this point needs to get himself back in and have a good year because this is his 5th year as well. So, he'll be, if he doesn't do it this year, he's going to be gone. Daniel Jones, they're giving him another chance, and we'll see what happens with him. But I think at this point, his ship may have sailed. I'm hoping I'm wrong. He does have some talent. He's a good athlete. He can move around in that pocket. He can run. He's got a very strong arm. He can be accurate, but he can also be a knucklehead too. And, we had a knucklehead quarterback for 16 years, but he did win 2 Super Bowls. So, instead of making dumb decisions, maybe he can just start making better decisions, which is really what he needs to do.
Now, Giants, they're the first team on the 2 picks in the top 10. Your Giants, they have
2 in the top 7 actually.
So you have a chance, with a couple of hits here, to really improve the outlook of your franchise, which, Brad, the Giants have been dreadful for a couple of years now. Are they still on the narrative of pass rush?
4 years
offensive lineman?
Huh?
Are you still on the narrative of offensive line and pass rush with these picks?
Absolutely.
If there was going to be a surprise and one of the picks wasn't a pass rush or an edge rusher or an offensive lineman, where do you think that they could go? And Don, I see we're going to get to your question in 1 second.
Linebacker, maybe.
Is there a linebacker that can go that high? Could the Giants trade back?
They could. I think they could go for a linebacker that can rush the passer and get a lot of sacks. I mean, if you remember, they did have one of those back in the 80s.
What about Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, or these 2 corners look to be bona fide studs? Do you think the Giants could be?
I don't think they're going for corner. I think you have to. In my opinion, you have to have a pass rush. Okay, pass rush to me is more important than corner, because if you can get yourself a pass rush, then the receivers don't have as much time to get open. A good pass rush can absolutely can cover up for a poor secondary. It's done it before, and it'll do it again.
Don 19. Do you think either Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield get traded during the draft? I don't think anybody wants Baker Mayfield, and I think
Baker Mayfield is going to be a Brown this year. I do think Garoppolo is going to get traded.
You think?
I think he will.
I know he makes a lot of money, and the easy thing to do is look at his cap hit and look at where you pick Trey Lance.
But this is his walk year, Garoppolo, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: so suppose they got him, suppose somebody gets him, and then they add an extra year to his contract for less money, then his average annual value will go down, and thus the cap hit will go down.
It's a good point, but I don't see, you got to look at the market. Baker Mayfield can't be in a bad situation. He's been set up like with a great defense, a great run game, pretty good receivers in Cleveland, and he hasn't done anything. So like
He got hurt. He was hurt last year, though. I mean, I think you
I
have
know,
to
but
take
Brad,
that
it's always it's one of those things. It's always something. It's always
No,
something.
I
It's not
understand.
this,
I
it's that.
understand that,
It's not that. It's something else. So like,
but his finger. He did hurt. What was it? His thumb or his?
well, he had the labrum in his
Okay.
non-throwing shoulder, which I'm
Okay.
sure hurt like a mother. But like I said, like
But he still went out there and played. He wasn't very effective. I would think that he'll be better if he's healthy.
but they
But
just gave
again,
a boat. They just backed up the money truck for Watson.
yeah, no, I realize that. So they're gonna have to make some kind of a decision. But I think they may. I think if you hang on to Mayfield and let him prove himself during the during exhibition football, the preseason, everybody's going to want to have to take a free look at him to see what he looks like before they want to make an investment in him. They could do that. If they think that they're going to get a high pick this year or on draft night, I don't think he's going to get traded on draft night. I think everybody's going to want to see him in action during the preseason, see that arm is see that everything is healed up, and see what he can do. Because you're going to see a lot of him.
Seattle's really the only team that I could see makes sense in for Baker Mayfield because you got receivers there.
Yeah, but I think Garoppolo is a better fit there.
Yeah, but they're not going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Seahawks in the division.
Suppose Seattle gave well, they don't have a first round pick. That's right.
Well, no, they have one now because they traded Russ to Denver.
Oh, right.
So
they're not going to trade.
I think it's 9.
Yeah, they're not going to trade a first round pick for him.
But like, if you look at Carolina, who's not very good, and Atlanta, who's not very good, and I can't even and Houston, who's not very good, and they seem to like this guy Davis Mills, whatever. And I'm struggling to look at teams like if I'm Atlanta or Carolina, I don't want Baker Mayfield anywhere near my building because I don't think there's any chance that either of those football teams.
If I'm either one of those teams, I'd rather take my chances with the guy from Pitt or the guy from Liberty.
Willis and Pickett.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it was me, that's what I would do. I would take my chances with them instead of Baker. Because A, you don't have to pay Baker, and B, these guys are younger and they're more impressionable, and they can learn your system. They don't have to come off of another system.
Well, I think that's why Seattle makes a lot of sense for Baker because he's still on his rookie contract. Yeah, you can take a guy at 9 and trade for Baker and be like, look, we have this guy. If you want to play, cool. But if not, your guy's right there. It's sink or swim time. Like Atlanta's going to stink next year. I don't want Baker Mayfield anywhere near a rebuilding culture. I mean, Matt Rule, I don't think there's a coach in the league with a hotter seat than Matt Rule right now. Like he's on the verge of getting fired with another bad year. So, I mean, you're really going to hitch your wagon to Baker Mayfield if it's put up or shut up time. If rent's due for you as a head football coach in this league, you're going to hitch your wagon to Baker Mayfield. I think that's.
Well, he already made a mistake with Sam Bradford, so I think that he's probably learned his lesson. We're trying to resurrect careers.
Don, I'll get to you. I'll get to my 2 dream scenario picks for the Eagles. Bob Brinkman, I think the Niners keep both their young quarterbacks, then move Jimmy if the younger quarterback works out. The only problem with that is, you have this kid that you moved up last year. You spent a lot. You don't have a first-round pick this year, and you have Trey Lance. Like he's gonna have to play eventually. That's just how this league works. So
yeah, at some point, you're right.
So like I don't know. And getting to the Eagles, who also have 2 first-round picks. My dream scenario, look, you need Jalen Hurts to have the best chance possible to be successful in this league. I don't think that's possible with the current receiver room. So I'm picking Chris Olave. My favorite receiver in the draft is Chris Olave. I don't think Chris Olave is the caliber of prospect that Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase is that are just taking this league by storm right now. He's not that, but I think Chris Olave is going to be a solid, steady receiver in this league. And I think that would help Jalen Hurts in that receiver room immensely. And then my second one is Jordan Davis. I would take Jordan Davis if I'm the Giants at 7. I would take Jordan Davis at 4 if I'm the Giants. SEC, monster. Georgia, monster. Anyone who played for Georgia, just get it. Send a bus to Athens, get him on the bus, and bring him to the nearest NFL facility near you. That's how good I think these prospects are coming out of Georgia this year. So I like Jordan Davis
and Alabama and all the other
Georgia beat Bama. You know?
I know they did,
but the chips were down.
Bama's got some pretty good players on their team too.
They do.
Pedigree. The pedigree in the SEC is so superior right now to everybody else. It's almost ridiculous now.
So I like Chris Olave. I like Jordan Davis. I don't think either. Obviously, both the corner. They need a corner as well to play opposite Slay, but I don't think Derek Stingley Jr., who I love, I think he's the best corner in the draft. Stingley. Sauce Gardner, very good as well, but I think Stingley's better. Give me the SEC guy over the American Conference guy or whatever conference that the Cincinnati Bearcats play in. We saw the talent gap in the playoff. I mean, Cincinnati couldn't even move the football against Bama. I know Sauce plays defense, but just give me the SEC guy. I don't think there's a prayer that either of them fall to 15. You can move up and move around. You got a lot of capital over the next, not this year, but over 3 years. But, I mean, give me a receiver again and get it right, please, with Chris Olave and Jordan Davis. And then, Brad, Don wants to know if you have names, or I know you've been pretty outspoken about the positions that you want in the draft.
Well, I like Thibodeau, but it sounds like he's alienated the Giants somewhat. He didn't interview with them well.
He's a strange cat, Thibodeau.
Yeah, I would really like to see them grab him. And as I said before, the offensive lineman on Iowa, those are still the two guys I want.
Rosca, he's watching the Flyers and the Blackhawks, two teams that will not be participating in the NHL playoffs. Flyers,
that's kind of an unwatchable game, though.
Yeah, ESPN Plus, I think it's on. Flyers are just dreadful. They're just dreadful.
And I said it before. I'm going to tell you right now. The Flyers can do one of two things next year, okay, or over the summer. They can either get rid of Couturier, buy out Van Riemsdyk, and trade Cam Atkinson, okay, and start all over again, or and Ellis, hopefully Ellis will come back next season, or they can go with these guys, hope that they stay healthy, and draft some guys, try to move some of the guys out that haven't been as good as they would have liked them to be, and get some picks. I mean, if I was the Flyer, if it was me, okay, I would buy out Van Riemsdyk because I don't think anybody's going to want him. $7 million for a guy who had 13 goals is not gonna cut it. Make Kevin Hayes the captain, and hopefully Ellis comes back and plays next year. But I would trade a lot of these veterans that haven't really been doing much. Konechny, I think it would be time to get rid of him.
I'm so sick of Konechny. I'm sick of all these guys that
I think
these Hextall guys, Brad, that everyone talked about. Oh, don't worry,
they have to do
flush.
You look at, and I'm not gloating here, but you look how the Rangers built their team
the right way.
Okay, yeah, they went and they traded a lot of guys who were fan favorites. They traded Zuccarello for a second-round pick. They traded 2 second-round picks for Adam Fox, who won the Norris Trophy last year.
Fantastic move.
They traded Kevin Hayes to the Jets for a first-round pick, and then went and took the first-round pick and gave it back to Winnipeg with Neil Pionk and got Jacob Trouba.
Another great move.
they traded Derek Brassard for Mika Zibanejad, which obviously was
Grand slam.
Yeah, they signed one of the top. They signed a premier free agent in Artemi Panarin. Okay, they traded Nash at the trade deadline a couple of years ago for Ryan Lindgren, and you can see how that turned out. He's a top pairing defenseman. Their first round picks, who they got in some of their other trades, Keandre Miller is a second pair defenseman with Trouba. He's Trouba's partner. And then they're able to draft Lafreniere, who's been pretty good this year. He's got 17 goals in his second season, which for a 21-year-old player is pretty good. And they've been able to. They got Brandon Schneider, who started playing. He's on the third pair, who was also a first-round pick. I mean, they went and they got all these good young players, and that's what the Flyers have to do. They got to start moving these guys out. These guys are not good enough. They're not going to win a Stanley Cup with these guys. It's time to figure out which player you want. Now, the Rangers went, and of all the veterans they had on their team, the one veteran they kept was Chris Kreider, and he scored 50 goals. So they were right to keep him. He was the right one to pay and to keep on the team. So that's what the Flyers have to do. If I were them, I would keep Kevin Hayes, because I think Kevin Hayes has a lot of talent. And he can definitely get them where they want to go. And then they need to take some of these other guys and trade them for picks and start rebuilding the team. They're not going to win with the guys they have right now. I know a lot of you guys out there love Sean Couturier. I get that.
I'm over him too.
But I think it's time to get rid of him too. I mean, these are guys that you can get first round picks for. Okay, all these guys you can get. At worst, a second round pick, but you probably can get first round picks for him. And again, as far as JVRs goes, $7 million, you're not going to get anything for him. I would buy his ass out and get him the hell out of town, and then you can use your money to try to go out and get yourself a quality free agent to help rebuild the team. But I would rebuild the team. Take a couple of years, okay? All right, they're not going to make the playoffs the next couple of years, but you know what? I think Flyer fans are not quite as difficult and hard to please as, say, Philly fans and Eagle fans. They're not impossible like that. I think if they see that you have a plan and you show them that you have a plan and you're telling them exactly what you're planning to do, I think they'll be patient with the team and they'll be up for that, because I think they know that in fact at this point, trying to roll the dice with the same players over and over again may not be the way to go. You've got a good young goalie. You can build around him too. Carter Hart, you put the right guys in front of him, he'll be good too. But these young guys that Hextall kept just weren't good enough.
He's like the Dave Gettleman of Philadelphia.
Yeah, he kept building, wanting to build through the draft, would never trade anybody. No guts, no glory. You've got to make a move. Look, the Rangers screwed up too when they traded JT Miller and Ryan McDonough, and all the guys they got in that trade haven't panned out. The only guy that is still on the team that has actually done anything is in the minor leagues right now, and that's what's his name, Lundqvist. But he's still in the minor leagues. So what are they going to do with him? Their defense is set for the next 5 years. Okay, so I mean, there's no place for him. He's a right-handed defenseman, and the Rangers have 3 premium right-handed defensemen. So what are they going to do with him? He's going to get traded. That was the bad trade. That was the one trade that they would like to have back. But this is what the Flyers need to do. You build through the draft. You make a couple of decent trades, and you try to sign whoever the best available free agent is, and build the team that way. That's how you do it.
Fly down 19. Now it seems like there's like a can't miss prodigy in next year's draft called named Shane Wright.
Yeah, but you're probably not going to get him. You're going to be the fourth. You're going to have the fourth or third worst record in the league. You're not going to have the worst record. It's going to be hard for you to be able to get that guy. He'll most likely end up on the Canadiens or Arizona.
And like he's all that. Like
he's supposed to be pretty good.
Can't miss.
But honestly, if you look in the 2023 draft next year, the guy that's going to be the first round pick there, I think his name is Bedard. That guy is going to be the next Austin Matthews. I mean, he is the guy. I mean, he's a machine.
So it seems like if you want to be bad,
next year is the year to be bad. That's why I'm
year
saying the Flyers need to completely break it down next year and try to get the first round pick. This guy Bedard, you can build your team around him.
All right, let's get into a little baseball. Before we get out of here, we'll give way to Jimmy and Evan on Flight Zone for some live Sixers reaction. Sixers down a couple as they barrel towards halftime. And Tom Arnone and his crew will be breaking it all down after the game. Hopefully we're Sixers advance and we can, have Joe rest his thumb, Harden rest the hammy, and gear up and finally try and get, to an Eastern Conference Finals. But Brad, I was at Wrigley yesterday, and if you're out there listening and you haven't been to Wrigley, that's a bucket list item. Absolutely.
I agree with you on that.
Item. We had great seats right behind the plate, right behind the Pirates, the visitors' dugout. Real cheap. Everyone's real nice in the Midwest. Welcoming fan base. Great stadium. And we saw a pretty good game. I mean, the Cubs aren't all that, and the Pirates kind of stink, but it was a competitive game, and it was, for the most part, good baseball. My only complaint is there was an hour and a half rain delay to start the game, which at least they started the game an hour and a half late and weren't starting and stopping constantly throughout the game. But, I went to the old Yankee Stadium. I went to the new Yankee Stadium. I did a tour of Fenway, didn't see a game, so I still got to see a game at Fenway. I've been to Camden Yards.
Camden Yards was my favorite, by the way.
I mean, Wrigley takes the cake. Wrigley takes the cake. You got to get to the atmosphere there. You got the bleachers, like out in the bleachers. You got the bleacher creatures, and then the people they've built, stadium seats on top of the apartment buildings off Waveland Avenue. So like, I was getting the lowdown on that. You pay $150, you get all you can eat, all you can drink, and you hang out on the rooftop and watch the game, and you get a perfect view of the game. It's a small, intimate ballpark. It's great. And we have a great ballpark in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park, but it pales in comparison to what's going on at Wrigley Field. Do you have like a favorite? Camden Yards, you said, is your stadium, Brad?
Oh, that Camden Yards is great. The problem is the team that plays there right now is so bad. It kind of ruins everything. But when they were good in the 90s, that was a fun place to go. I mean, the food there is great. The atmosphere. They are rabid fans, the Oriole fans. If they ever get their team back to respectability again with that ballpark is one fun ballpark. Did you see that they moved the fences back
at Camden?
Yeah.
No, I missed that.
Oh, I think it's now 3 instead of 365 in the left center field gap. I think it's now 395.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, the left field is now it's kind of like Yankee Stadium in that it's still a short poke to right field, but it's a heck of a poke to left field now.
The one time I went to Camden Yards, the Orioles lost 30-3, Brad, to the Texas Rangers. 30-3 they lost.
Yeah, well, that's
MLB record.
Yeah, the team still is.
So this was post the 90s glory days that you were talking about, and right before Machado and Adam Jones, where they went to the playoffs a couple of years in a row. This was
the food there is just. I mean, they have a Phillips there if you like the seafood. If you like barbecue, you got Boog's Barbecue. There's just some real good food. It's a real good food ballpark, if you know what I mean. And from what I've heard, the San Diego ballpark is supposed to be great for food too.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh, it looks like a great ballpark with the bridge in the back. It's a shame all these teams with great ballparks, they all stink.
Yeah, well. That's it. I mean, it's unfortunate if that's the case, but haven't heard any reviews about the new ballpark in Atlanta. Have you heard anything about that or Texas?
No.
Yeah, don't know anything about those ballparks.
And those aren't destination spots.
No.
Well, the Phillies. I guess I could go to Atlanta to see the Phillies play.
Well, that would be a good game if the Phillies can get their acts together and start hitting like everybody thought they were going to do.
They are up 4-2. If they're going down 2-0 tonight, they are up 4-2 in the sixth. We'll see if the bullpen can hold on. They can get a win. They lose a tough one last night on Sunday Night Baseball. And Brad, can we get this Angel Hernandez guy? Can we get him out?
Everybody wants to get him out. For years, everybody's been trying to get him out. He's an embarrassment. He's so bad. I mean, I would use the word disgrace to describe him. I saw the pitch to Schwarber in the ninth inning. I watched the ninth inning last night. That was disgraceful. And I'll tell you what, I thought Schwarber was gonna kick his ass the way he was when he was that mad.
Freaked out. It was like an all-time freak out. It was an all-time ejection.
Well, the ball was low and outside, and you can't call that. I don't know how you call that a strike. Angel Hernandez is terrible.
Look,
how is it every game he umpires? There's a controversy every game because he's so bad. And I hate to go here, but I'm going to go here anyway. He uses his ethnicity to keep his job because that's the only reason he's still umpiring is because he's Latin and he uses that because they don't have enough Latin umpires. So
I mean, if you stink, you stink, and that's
I know, but he's suing Major League Baseball to try to because he thinks he should be a what do you call it a senior umpire captain umpire or whatever they
chief.
call it. Yeah, crew chief. Yeah. I mean, he is a joke. He can't. I can remember when I went to a Yankee Red Sox playoff game a couple of years ago. The Yankees got slaughtered in this game. This is the Luis Severino game.
They let this guy ump a playoff game.
This guy umped first base.
How does he ump a playoff game?
He blew 3 calls at first base. Two against the Yankees because the Yankees challenged twice and won both challenges. And then he blew one for the Red Sox, which the Red Sox challenged. So he had 3 blown calls in that one game, which the Red Sox won like 16-2 or some embarrassing score. But it's not the score has nothing to do with the fact that he is that bad. I mean, every time he umpires, it's a freaking joke.
But like I used to ump. And like it was nothing big. It was rec league, low level travel ball, young kid travel ball. But like, if you're looking, you're doing the plate right, and you're looking, and a breaking pitch is coming, and you have to have a little self awareness. Like, okay, it's 0-2 here. This kid's probably gonna try and break one off. Like, if you pick up, it's like a hitter. The plate umpire is like a hitter. Like if you pick up spin, and it starts out of the zone. It's only going to get worse, right?
Right.
So if you see spin and it's starting off location, there's no way you can call it a strike. It's the easiest call to make ever, unless the kid spins.
Rob, the ball was low. In addition to being outside, it was low.
But my point is, Brad, it's a slider. It's a hater slider that starts out of the zone, ends even more out of the zone, and you want to ring up our guy like that? And Schwarber
in the ninth inning, no less. And like he just shows no emotion. When he screws up, he just sits there, and when a guy argues, he just throws him out and doesn't even say anything back.
Because he thinks that the 40,000 people that are there playing their good hard-earned money to see Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Corbin Burns and Yelich and all these stars that baseball has these days, they think they're there to see umpires like Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Joe West was the same way.
Joe West was just as bad. Joe West
and he's Joe retired now, thank God.
Yeah. But Joe West was also a horse's ass as well. I mean, it is what it is with these guys. Angel Hernandez is terrible, and I mean, just watching that, I felt bad. I felt bad for Schwarber because I was like, how could that be a strike? The one thing I would, if I was Schwarber, if he was level-headed, I would have just asked him, how do you expect anybody to hit that pitch where it was? That's not a hittable pitch. I mean, it's an unhittable. A strike is supposed to be a pitch that's a hittable pitch in the strike zone. Okay, it was an unhittable pitch out of the strike zone, and you're calling it a strike? I mean, it really disgraceful, really, really bad.
Miguel Cabrera, he gets off the schneid. He gets hit number 3,000. So now Brad Ryer, Miguel Cabrera is one of 3 players in Major League Baseball history that has 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, and a 300 lifetime batting average. The other 2 are Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. So he's in excellent company there. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer if I've ever seen one.
Oh,
MLB
he's one of the great. He's one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I mean, I know he's not in his prime anymore, but if he puts together like a competent, like 18, 20 home run season, he might be the greatest right-handed hitter of all time. I know Don 19, he's got love for Miguel. He's got up there in Detroit. He's been there for a lot of years. Really, the lion's share of his career he's been in
Well,
Detroit.
okay, in the last, say, 20 years, there are 2 right-handed hitters that to me are beyond great, just incredible hitters. Manny Ramirez and Miguel Cabrera. Is there any discernible difference between those 2 hitters?
Well, Manny got popped a couple times.
No, we're not talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about their hitting. I'm not talking about the steroids or anything else like that. Just the hitting.
No, do you think Manny was better?
It's hard to say. Hard to say. I think they're both on the same level.
Well, plus Miguel always plays the game over his whole career the right way.
Yeah.
Lunch pail.
Well, understand, as a Yankee fan, I still have a problem with him with that fight that he had with Austin Romine for being such a jerk. But he does. But he thinks he does kind of think that he's a little bit above being thrown at and all that other crap when he when he celebrates his home runs and all this other crap.
Miguel or Manny?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them. But especially Miguel. Miguel actually was upset that the fight with Austin Romine. The Tigers Fulmer was pitching against. I can't remember who he was pitching against, but Fulmer hit Sanchez and then he hit Judge. So whoever was pitching for the Yankees went and knocked Cabrera down, and Cabrera started talking shit to the pitcher, and Austin Romine stood up and told him to shut up, and he just started trying to cold cock him, and then Romine actually was down on the ground and then wrestled him down and then started pounding him, which was shocking because I thought Cabrera could actually fight, but he can't. But I had a problem with that. I still do have a problem with that because I thought he acted like a real ass that game. But as a hitter, between him and Manny Ramirez, you could toss a coin who was a better hitter. But he was on that level. He's on that level for sure.
And Sixers doing their best to just give constant agita to the Philadelphia fan base. They're down 11, 6 minutes to go in the first half. Still time, guys. Sixers fans, Jim Aschenbach, he's pissed off.
Whether they're not ahead by 20 yet?
John Malmos, the Sixers not looking very good. Like, let's just relax. Let's let it play out.
Remember, the Raptors are playing for their season. Okay, they're not going to just go away. Okay, they're going to go out there and they're going to fight. Okay, but the Sixers will eventually get a run and get the knockout punch and finish them off, and that'll be the end of it.
But Brad, how about one time we get the knockout punch, like a wounded animal, like Toronto, with Barnes out, Van Vliet out, they're down, they're on their last legs. How about we go out in the first 10 minutes and just blitz them?
It's not that easy.
Knock them out early. Tyson.
It's not that easy to do that.
I understand it's not that easy, but it's look. It's either one or two things with this basketball team. It's either night or day. There's never any overcast, average days. It's either they go out early and blitz them and go up big and then slowly but surely blow the lead throughout the game, or they do this where they start slow and then eventually, like you say, the cream rises to the top and they bury them. But you're a better basketball team than the Raptors.
I get that, but you know what?
Barnes suited up tonight,
for
huh?
maybe 2.5 quarters. I think the Raptors can stay in the game, but I think eventually the cream will rise to the top, and the Raptors are gonna be done, and that's what's gonna happen. It's not that easy to just go in because they're not up by 20 yet. I mean, Toronto is a playoff team, and they have pride, and they're gonna play hard.
I mean,
And
just in the 30 seconds, Brad,
Sometimes
just in
you
the
have to
30
give-
seconds we've been talking, the Sixers, they put up going on a nice little 5-0 spurt, and it's 41-35.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be 25-5 just because you want it to be 25-5. The NBA doesn't work that
I
way.
know it doesn't work that way, but how about one time? Just like I can take a deep breath and relax and just go to the next round and
By the
try to
middle
get
of the third,
my MVP's thumb healthy and make sure Harden's hammy is
by the
iced
middle
up,
of
ready
the
to
third
go.
quarter, by the middle of the third quarter, everything will be fine.
I think you're right. I tend to
You
agree
know,
with you.
and because Toronto is going to try to hang in there. I mean, they're a gritty, gutty team, and they're going to try to hang in there as long as they can. But eventually, the talent will take over.
So
And the Sixers will put them away.
Brooklyn on the brink of elimination. I want Brooklyn out, not because I'm scared of them, but I'm just so sick.
Well, I think every fan base in the league would like to see them out. So.
Like they're not very likable, and I hope they get swept. It's
No,
90.
They're really not.
90-84 with 10 to go.
Yeah, what's
like
the difference? If Brooklyn wins Game 4, they'll lose Game 5 anyway. So what's the difference?
3-0. I mean, like this is like really up against it.
This is the all hands on deck game for that. Basically, if they can't win this game, then it would be a disgrace to get swept.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you everyone who liked the show. Subscribe to the show. Remember to turn those notifications on. It's draft week. I'm en route to Vegas. I'll be there tomorrow around dinner time. We'll be doing shows out in Vegas for the draft. We got Jimmy and Evan with the Flight Zone coming up next. We got Sixers post-game reaction. Hopefully it's a closeout game and the Sixers can be just 4 wins away from the Eastern Conference Finals finally. And just keep it locked here on AZ Radio all week. He's Brad Ryer. Frank Vesby, thank you for producing the show. I'm Rob Brinkman. Until next Monday night, peace out, everybody.